Hello, and welcome to episode 119 of Prog Review. And in the spirit of doing this Marillion week, where I look at various albums relating to Marillion and their members, the alumni, if you will, I shall be turning my attention to not the weapon, but the hand by Richard Barbieri and, more importantly, Steve Hogarth. Bit of a departure. So let's talk about this record. This is not your average record. It's not anything like Marillion. This is more art rock, more left field. So that kind of appeals to my artistic side, because I tend to like that kind of, arty farty crap. You know what I'm like. Reading about this was released, I think it's February 2012, earlier in the year, and reading interviews, basically Richard Barbieri, ex of Japan, currently of Porcupine Tree, Rain Tree Crow, another one, Tree, Crow, Porcupine Tree, is almost related, some sort of word thing there going on. Brain fart almost that was. But yeah, Richard Barbieri worked on the music. He sat down and did all the synth bedding, and then presented it to Steve Hogarth, who made a CD of it, drove around his car, sang to it, improvised words over the music, and that was his contribution. It was a very organic process, according to the two artists involved. And so I thought, this is going to be interesting. There's 8 tracks, it's 46 minutes 38 seconds long, so it doesn't outstay its welcome by too much. Again, if you're expecting rock and roll drums and guitars and Marillion, you're not going to get it. If you're even expecting Steve Hogarth's solo material, where he does lovely melodic piano led song, you're not going to get it. There are keyboards on this, there are piano samples, but it's more abstract. We're talking, like I say, it owes a lot more to Japan, David Sylvian and Brian Eno, that kind of thing. So it opens with the first track, Red Kite, and again, as I've said, you've got synth backdrops, some very minimalist electronic percussion drum machine going on, and Steve Hogarth's vocals. It's very dreamy, and his vocals are processed, and it's cinematic and very atmospheric. Again, these are more moods. These are mood pieces rather than songs per se. So it's very difficult to get over, what they're like. It's not I'm going to say, oh yeah, I really like the guitar solo on this, because there aren't any solos. It's not like that. It's not that kind of music at all. So I always find it very difficult to describe what I'm listening to when we're dealing with this kind of minimalist stuff. The next track up is A Cat with 7 Souls, and again we have Steve Hogarth quietly speaking the lyrics, and even though there's a slight change in the tempo, the tone stays the same, and you do get this kind of very similar tone throughout the songs. It's kind of one colour palette. I mean, I'm not knocking any points off for that. I'm not slating it for that, but it's very much, there is very much of a muchness going through this, but it's in a good way. It appealed to me. But yeah, you do get interesting textures in the track, and there's some scattering of drum percussion, and it makes it, that percussion made it interesting for me, especially when listening on headphones. For me, this is very much a headphone album. Very introspective record. Listen to it with the lights off, with the cans on. Oh yes. Then we have a track called Naked, and for me, it felt like it was more of a bad dream put to music. That dream you have where you're going to school and you haven't got your trousers on. Do you still have that dream? Yeah. It never used to bother me. But yeah, it's like that. That's what I feel. I felt a bit unnerved by this track, because it's about, don't let them see me like this. Again, it's about stripping back the artifice of life, and I don't know. And it's almost in some sort of futuristic waltz time, but it's not quite waltz time. It's a strange pattern. but it is sufficiently different to the previous tracks to hold my attention. And but again, you do realise that, you know, a lot of the colours, a lot of the sound textures are the same. You know, there's nothing going to shock you about this album. You're not going to get a shock, he says, until you hear Crack, where suddenly they go and move the album into a completely different gear, ratchet up several gears. You got some harder drums. It's a bit dancey. Hogarth's vocals are distorted on it. Again, they're trying to be, you know, different. I liked it. It was different. You know, it's about making someone fall in love with you until they crack. That's what it's called, Crack. It's not talking about my bottom. Oh no, it's talking about making someone break under pressure. Interesting, a way of making a love song, but you know, I don't know. I guess that's how I all love you. It's a war of attrition, isn't it? Really, and then it leads us to Your Beautiful Face, which they obviously wrote about me. No, all right then. It's half-spoken dreamscape. It really is, and it's very reminiscent of the kind of vocal tracks that Brian Eno puts out, you know, recently. From, was it Drawn from Life? Do you remember that one? I like that album. That kind of vibe to it. I mean, it's okay, but Hogarth's northern drawl is drenched in reverb, and at some points I just kind of lost focus. But you know, not because it was boring, but it was because it became hypnotic, and I stopped listening to the words and the meaning. I just kind of got carried along by the sound of his voice. His voice lost meaning, and it just became sounds. It became a part of the mix, so I kind of just got carried away with it. It's kind of interesting, but yeah, it drew me in. I mean, that's the thing, all the songs did draw me in, but I can see why a lot of people might not like it, because you kind of got to like that kind of music, and if you know, you might just find it a little bit too way out. And then we have Only Love Will Make You Free, and this is a nice track. Even though the main mantra took me back, it reminded me of Out of This World by Afraid of Sunlight, the Marillion album. Only love can turn you around. It's that same kind of delivery, and it just reminded me of that. Even though it's different words, it was the way Hogarth delivers the line just took me back to that. And even though it's quite a long song, I think it's about 8 minutes long, it builds to a lovely loud crescendo. It's really quite powerful. I found it powerful. Then we come to Lifting the Lid, and unfortunately by this time I was getting a bit worn down by it, you know, because everything was kind of sounding. I think what it was is Only Love Will Make You Free, you know, kind of built me up, and there was a lovely crescendo, and the album kind of should have ended there. But we have another song, and you know, it's a bit meandering, but you can hear where his influences are. It's very much Eno again and David Sylvian. I mean, I could have easily have heard Sylvian doing this track, or even some of the other tracks. It's, you know, very much in the Japan Raintree Crow kind of field, you know, it's that kind of thing. But yeah, a little bit meandering, a little bit abstract, but this kind of music, that's par for the course. But I think they could have dropped this track and just ended it at Love Will Make You Free, and then let it lead to the final track, not The Weapon But the Hand, the title track of the album. It's a postscript, as you were, because it's a little synth bed and Hogarth reciting the lyrics that have already been mentioned previously earlier in the album about, you know, it's not the weapon that does the damage but the hand. You know, guns don't kill people, rappers do. Saw it in a documentary on BBC Two. No one get that reference? Okay. I've got a broad taste in music. But yeah, it's just a postscript to the album. It ends the album nicely. So with all that in mind, I need to summarise. It's not an album for everyone. If you like that kind of dreamy electronica, and you love Steve Hogarth's voice because he holds the album, you know, there's a good mix. You're gonna like this. If you want drums, if you want guitar solos, if you want rock and roll, if you want prog, you know, this isn't the record for you. You know, prog in the Grendel 9/8 sense of the word, not prog. I mean, this is progressive. I mean, like, this is progressive music. This is very much progressive, more so than a lot of prog that's out there, because it does something, you know, it tries to do something completely different, if you get my meaning. But yeah, if you expect it to be a Genesis album or a Marillion album, nah, you're wasting your time. So I mean, I like it. I thought it was a really good album. It surprised me how good it was. I wasn't expecting much, and I really liked it. And I'm probably, again, it's one of those records I can have on in the background if I'm doing something or I want something that's going to just burble and inspire me, just have something on. It's one of those kind of records. Probably not going to sit down and listen to it, for the joy of listening to it, but for something that's just going to transport me. Possibly if I was, again, I like albums that, kind of get into my head and wash me away sometimes. Sometimes rock music doesn't do that, but if it's certain dream-like music, can whisk me away and take me away from all my troubles and problems, if you get my drift. So, when it comes to a rating, I've got to give this a rating. I've just realised I'm against the clock and I've only got 30-odd seconds to go. So, I'm going to give this 4 Cats with 7 Souls out of 5. Yes, it's a strong 4 Cats with 7 Souls out of 5. I give this a thorough recommendation. I really liked it. Probably not for everyone. What you gonna do? My name's been Darren Locke. I've been rittering on about Not the Weapon But the Hand by Richard Barbieri and Steve Hogarth. Give it a go. Remember, tickle my Twitter, sit on my Facebook, and play with my Google Plus, because YouTube is messed up. I've lost a load of subscriptions on there, so if you're not seeing my videos, please use the social media as a safety net, because it's the only way you're going to keep up with me. Or visit www.darrenlocke.com. Yeah, that'll do. Or even progreview.net if I can be bothered to update it. Oh, my name's been Darren Locke. You've been a wonderful, patient audience. Only one more thing to say, and I ran out of time. I'm gonna drop this in. No, I'm gonna drop this in. So just bear with me a minute, because I know some of you like to see. Right, I'm gonna drop it in. I think it's only fair because you want to see it, don't you? You want to see the ending. So you would have seen the cross dissolve. Yeah, cross dissolve. And I'm going only one more. Oh God! I wish these things would do a little bit more than 12 minutes, because it doesn't even tell me how many minutes I've got left. It's not fair. It's not fair. I shouldn't do it on the DSLR, but me camcorder's a load of rubbish in low light. Maybe I should get one of those big lights. What do you reckon? Get one of those big lights like all the professional YouTubers have. Anyway, my name's been Darren Locke. We'll do this all again. The next one up is going to be The Wishing Tree. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, the one that Steve Rothery did back in the day, back in the 90s, I think it was. Yeah, that's the next one up. Thanks for watching. And one more thing to say, and that is, prog on. That'll do you.